Welcome everybody to another episode of Understable Minds. This is our highlight, episode 10. This is where we've officially made it. I am joined by neither of my normal I don't know if we're technically hosts, but microphone speaker intoers. Eric and Danny are both gone for Christmas. They both went back to visit their homes, visit their families. Hopefully most people are doing that. I just got to see my family last weekend. I'm sitting way across. We're both reaching and not even close to each other. Chris Clemons is miles across this table from me. Hello, Chris.
How's it going? You had to bring in the ringers. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. For episode 10, we are pulling out all of the stops. Again, a little bit out of arm's reach, but we can touch. We're like ET in it right now. Is Mr. Logan Harpool. Hello, Logan.
What's up?
Pretty good. Pretty good. We might get copyright strikes for that, but pretty good. If people are unfamiliar, Logan has been on the team for a couple of years now, right?
I think this is year 3 or 4.
Okay.
Like that.
Out of Wichita, Kansas. You've been playing for not that much longer than you've been on the team, right?
Yeah, I started in 17, so this is year 5, 4th as a professional.
Okay. This will be the first time that you've officially been on Understable Minds. You've been on shows previous to Understable Minds, I think.
An interview, like a Zoom thingy, never actually in here. So this is as official as it's been.
So then we'll kind of introduce you to everybody and help people get to know you. If you were to introduce yourself to someone in the disc golf world, give us your 2-minute, this is Logan.
Well, I'm Logan Harpool. I'm from just outside Wichita, Kansas. I'm a high school special education teacher, and that's what pays my bills and gives me the sense of normalcy. And so for 9 months out of the year, I'm a weekend warrior. I'll hit DDO because it's an hour away and mix in some A tiers here and there, but most of the time B tiers. And then for those 3 months in the summer, as of last year, I go full time and I hit as many pro tours as I can. And so I'm a professional full time for 3 months a year, and I treat it as such because it really is my second job. But when it all boils down to it, I'm a high school special ed teacher, and I like what I do, but I more so enjoy the life it allows me to live.
So it's more of, while you enjoy it, it's more of a job that allows you to play disc golf when you can.
Exactly. With a lot less stress than what most people feel.
Right. Because then it's not like, I think we were talking on last week's show about like when Eric McCabe was on the road, it was like, you have to play well so that you can afford gas and food to get to the next event, so that you can hopefully play well to afford gas to get to the next event. Whereas, having a typical or traditional 9 to 5 kind of takes that pressure off. But then, like you were talking about, that's what you do for 9 months out of the year. Yep. You can really only hit the road hard for 3 months at most.
I'll steal a Friday here and there. And my building and district admin are really cool. They gave me a week off for USDGC. And so they support me 100%. I try not to spend a ton of money. And with DD helping me, it definitely helps. But every penny I've made in disc golf, I keep separate than my teaching salary. So it has gotten tight at times, but I can always dip into that. But the greatest thing is I get to come home and sleep in my own bed when I have a break.
Right.
So I have a home and I have a home base. And if at any point I want to step back and just play B tiers, I can do that. But I really like hitting the road in the summer.
So let's take it back just a little bit more. What is your kind of introduction to disc golf? How did you get into the sport?
So it can be a very long story to make it podcast friendly. 2017, I was in my senior year of college and got wrecked by mental illness, anxiety, and depression. And a buddy had given me a backpack of discs. I went out, started hitting trees in my backyard, got pretty good because I had a lot of panic attacks. And that was what calmed me down. Then I found out there were tournaments. Then I found out there was a pro tour. So it was a blessing in disguise to learn the game the way I did, because it was a release and it was super relaxing to me. And the goal wasn't to get to where we are now. And
so what was the goal?
The goal was just to calm myself down.
Just relax.
Yeah, just get through the day. See the sun come up tomorrow. I mean, that's the point I was at. I was pretty low. And like I said, it can be a very long story, and I'll tell it to anyone who wants to listen. I don't share it for sympathy because I don't want that and I don't need that. But disc golf saved lives. It saves lives. And that's my incentive to grow the sport, because you never know what someone's going through. And it can be that walk in the park or walk outside with a little extra purpose that changes the way someone looks at the world. So fast forward to where I am now, it's crazy how it's panned out, but I wouldn't.
Now it's
trade
just
it.
adding stress. Now it's a stress creator.
Well, at times, but you look at the big picture and we're ultimately still playing a game and we're very blessed to be doing what we're doing and
Right.
making money to do it, much less. So
That's always a plus. Whenever you can do something that, if you enjoy it, even the slightest bit, if you can make any sort of money at it, that's always good. Is that, have sports always been kind of a stress reliever for you?
oh yeah.
Okay. So then the pressure to perform or to play to your best hasn't really been, I mean, I was joking about it being the stress creator, but that's almost not, is that not something that affects you? Or is it just because this was the thing that you were like, I'm just going to get away. I don't care how I do it. I don't care if I play well or if I hit a tree every single time.
So at the beginning, it was just getting out and having fun.
Mhm.
Then when I realized there were tournaments and that there was a pro scene and that I could make money, then I turned it up and got competitive with it. I played baseball for 14 years and come from a family where you play to win. If you're
Yeah.
playing the game, you're playing it to win. So
Mhm.
it was natural for me to get competitive with it. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it's too stressful because at the end of the day, it does relax me. I like the cameras. I like the pressure. I like the galleries. There was
Really?
you guys made a graphic after Oklahoma Open.
Mhm.
I said something. The gallery at Blackhawk that year in Tulsa wasn't huge, but it's Blackhawk, so it's bottlenecking and they're all like funneled in. So
Just
it's
people on
felt
top of
huge.
you.
Yeah. And it kind of got chaotic because there wasn't a lot of crowd control. And my brother was caddying and got swallowed up in the gallery at one point. I had to tell him like, hey, let him through. He has my stuff.
Yeah.
And I told my brother I was one back with 5 to play, stressful. And I looked at him. I said, dude, I've never felt more alive than I do right now. Like, I love this.
Really?
Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. I want to be that guy. Like
Uh-huh.
I get nervous. I feel all the same stuff, but it's a good feeling to me.
Really?
I love that feeling. Yes.
Do you get that as well, Chris? Do you get that kind of like, these people are here to watch me, I need to throw a good shot, make this putt, whatever? Or is
Yeah.
that, yeah?
I thrive on that, like that electricity. When I used to practice at Rosedale in Kansas City, I would putt and throw kind of like right by hole one because I enjoyed like people watching me. It gave me extra motivation. And so doing that over the years, and then when you come to a pro tour event and you're playing, or like Logan said, you're like competing for an A tier and people are watching you, you kind of relish in that moment and you don't think like, oh God, I don't want to mess up in front of these people. You're like,
Right.
oh God, watch this shot, everybody.
Yeah.
And so,
I hope they're paying attention.
and that's just being like confident,
Uh-huh.
you know? So yeah, that's, you know, if some people don't like that, but I think most people do. And if you're playing well, if you're on the lead card of the A tier, you're playing well. So
Right.
you should want people to watch you.
So your career trajectory has kind of almost started similar to where Logan is, like playing local in Logan's in Wichita, you're in Kansas City, playing B tiers, A tiers, stuff like that. And then has that, going from that to being on the road now for a couple of full seasons, has that changed? Has that grown, or is that still kind of, there's just more people now?
It's definitely grown. And
Really?
when Logan was telling his story, he was like, yeah, I like being, you know, I like working 9 to 5 and then going and playing on the weekends. And I'm like, that's how it starts. And when you start doing better, you know, because I did that too. I worked overnights, but I worked in healthcare and with developmentally disabled people. But I was practicing every day and, you know, started competing and trying to get better. And then when I had the opportunity to tour, like I kind of took it. And I think me and Logan are a little different, you know, in that way. Like I fully jumped in and he's been able to, you know, kind of balance both lives pretty well. And it sounds like he may not necessarily like that, like touring full time, you know, and like the stresses of that, which is fair. And, you know, because some people are like that, but they don't realize it until it's too late. And then they don't want to play disc golf anymore.
Right.
But yes, the sport has grown like in the crowds. I mean, I was watching 2019 Worlds and I was playing with, I think, AB, Macbeth and Emerson Keith. And there was only like 100 people in the crowd, which for Worlds is insane. Like there's hundreds of people at like the smallest pro tour events now.
Right.
And so it's grown
Like day one.
a lot. Yes.
Usually it used to be where I mean, way back in the day, it was like the gallery was all the people that had finished their rounds earlier in the day and were just watching.
Because they used to have AMs and pros play together. So the AMs would like play first and then they would come and watch.
Yeah. And now it's
a spectacle.
Yeah. It's completely different. There's people that travel and go to pro tours, national tours, majors, things like that. I'm sure there's people that even go to A tiers just literally to spectate. They just say, oh, Chris Clemons is signed up. I got to go watch that. I can't play. I can't be there every day or whatever, but I just want to go watch, or I like the course, or
they do
whatever. So is that, Chris had kind of said about you, Logan, that maybe you either wouldn't enjoy that lifestyle, because it's a lifestyle change. It's not a career change. It's a lifestyle change. Is that accurate, or is that kind of still the end goal, or what?
Nah, he's 100% right. It's not for me full time. Like, could I do it? Yeah, I could probably be comfortable, but I wouldn't be happy.
Okay.
I'm really happy doing it full time at a high level for 3 months a year. And then I'm ready to come back home.
Okay.
And so it's cool to know it's there if I wanted it, but it's a lot of stress. It's a complete lifestyle change. And for guys like Chris that are wired for that, it's great. And the people living in vans, but not me.
Not you?
Nope.
It is different because, you're doing it. If you're doing it full time, like me right now, I've been doing it full time for the last couple of years, but now like in the off season, it's like, what do you do? It's like you go from like competing, being on for like 8 months straight. And then when it's time to like relax, you're like, what do I do? Like, what do I do with myself? What do I do with that time? And you can do a lot of different things, but it is different. It's an adjustment, and it's sometimes it's tough. And my first year touring in 2018, I went through a phase where I was like, I feel like I'm not fulfilled. Like I'm not helping people like I was with my job. Like I felt like my life had some meaning. And then when I went to tour, I was like, this is selfish. Like I'm doing what I want to do. I'm not helping anybody. And I had to like learn how to like balance that and interact more with fans, do more clinics. So I couldn't have that feeling of like meaningfulness for others.
Yeah. Because then in your job previously, specifically, like it was very hands-on of like face to face with another person.
Yeah.
But what, with you touring now, what you don't see is the kid at home that's a huge Chris Clemons fan because he's left-handed and maybe he lives in Montana and the tour just doesn't go up there. And he's been a huge Chris Clemons fan for 3 years, but you've just never had the chance to meet this kid or interact with him.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're not having that impact on someone. It doesn't mean that you're not interacting with people. It's just not directly. You're not seeing that result.
Right. And we do get messages, I'm sure Logan does too. And people were like, I'm a huge fan, man. I
send Logan different messages.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely do.
People will talk about like, hey, I heard what you said on this podcast and it struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
And so people, Logan telling his story that is going to affect people. And I know for me personally, I've went through many things ever since I started playing disc golf, especially in the last 10 years of my life. And so usually disc golf's always been there. And so if I'm struggling, I can just go play. I can go drown myself in practice and just kind of lose myself and be outside. And it's definitely helpful.
Well, and I'd be lying if I said there aren't times where I sit at my desk with Disc Golf Network up in the last couple hours of the day and they're at Waco or Vegas early in the year. And I'm like, man, I wish I was there.
Right. Like man, I should be on that lead card.
But I'm playing B tiers at that time. And then by the time, in my opinion, the weather gets nice and the tour gets fun, I get to hop in on the fun part because then I get Preserve and D-Glow and it's kind of Midwest at that time of year.
Yeah.
But I don't have to battle the snow in Vegas or
the wind,
Jonesboro.
Of the spring.
Right.
Yeah.
I get it at DDO.
Yeah.
Which is, you just expect it when you come to Emporia.
Yeah.
Right.
So would you ever consider or be interested in, like you said, 3 months is a good time for you, in kind of doing, I don't know, kind of like a 3 month here, take some time off, back to work, and then 3 months in the summer, or like something like that? Or is it literally 3 months out of the year and then you're good until, like you said, Waco, the tour is starting to pick back up again after it's been, I don't know the math, 6 months since you've played your last quote unquote tour event where you kind of get that itch?
I could do that. I really like the setup I have right now though, because like I said, I get what I think are probably the most fun events on beautiful tracks when the grass is green and the weather's good. Yeah. And then by the time I come back and get back in my classroom, I'm ready to kind of step away. When I came back from Idlewild, I got a sub for like the first 3 days of school because my admin's awesome and they let me go play. And I came back and played golf for 2 weeks straight, regular golf, like didn't touch a disc. That's kind of where I was at. Like, you know, I've been doing this, and I toured with Clemons and Chandler and Oakley, and especially when you're with Oakley, he doesn't take a day off. Go. And so I had thrown every day for 4 weeks. And by the time I got home, I was ready to
just exhausted.
Yeah. Let's play golf.
Your body out for sure.
Oh yeah.
You got to like learn how each person's different, and you got to like learn how to do that. But at the end of the day, we play disc golf because it's fun. And so if you're not having fun doing it, then, you know, you should set yourself up in a situation where you're going to be fun and you're going to enjoy it. And so I think that's what Logan has found, you know, and that's what I have found over the years too, of like how to balance normal life and disc golf and relationships with others and stuff like that. And so it's a balance.
Well, and touring I think it's as fun as it is based on the people you're with. If you go out there with nobody,
right, you can make it a more enjoyable experience.
Yeah. And when I'm and Chris and I get along, we're a lot of the same. We don't really do anything wild.
Nice.
We play disc golf. we play
it's
disc
all
golf.
an act.
Everything is wild. I do all the wild.
we play disc golf and we chill. And it's a lot of downtime because when you're on tour, you can't play disc golf for 8 hours a day. Yeah. Even if you could, you wouldn't want to. Right. So you got to be with cool people, and that makes it a whole lot more fun.
Yeah. And I think, like we see all the time with any touring disc golfer on Instagram stories or whatever, it's like they'll have an event coming up and, you know, on their way out to Memorial, stop at the Grand Canyon, or, you know, stop in Vegas and hang out there for a couple of days or whatever. And like you said, make it fun. Do things that you enjoy. If you enjoy playing disc golf 8 hours a day, then you can do that. If you enjoy playing your practice round and then not touching a disc until your next practice round the next day, you can do that. If you want to go sightseeing, you can do that. If you want to go drive to some city and see that, like, you can do all these different things. Yeah. And it's kind of like we were talking about, it's a lifestyle change. It's one of the positives of that lifestyle change is that
you have freedom.
Right. And you get to experience wildly different things every weekend. It's not like, or at least not often, I would assume you're not in the same place one Friday to the next Friday.
Usually not. There's a couple times a year where you stay at the same place for an extended amount of time, like the end of the year in Charlotte. But other than that, yeah, you're kind of moving. And
by that point, it's probably a nice thing to be able to just, finally, I don't have to pack everything, get in the car, drive, unpack, play a tournament, pack everything, drive.
Because some people are wired to like do stuff constantly, but yeah, when you're packing, you're getting ready to go, then you're getting ready for competition. You compete for 3 or 4 days, and the day before a tournament, you usually want to take it pretty chill. So like realistically, there's very few days that you can actually like take a whole day and like do something, right? Like go to the city and see stuff. And so when you do get that opportunity, it is nice. Yeah. So Logan, this was the first time that you've done that 3-month jump in the RV, hit a tournament every weekend. What were either the biggest lesson or what were some of the lessons that you learned from that? Maybe that things met your expectations, didn't, exceeded them, etc. You know, I had won B tiers and I'd won an A tier, but it's a whole nother level when you step out on tour for multiple reasons. The courses are gnarly, and living in Kansas, you can't get ready for toboggan until you're there. Right. There's one flat hole at toboggan. You could go head out to the Flint Hills and just hit up some farmer and ask if he minds. Everything at toboggan is up a hill or down a hill. Hole 7 is the only flat one, and it's not even really flat. You're thrown over a valley and then the basket rests on a hill. So the courses are gnarly, and you're with the best players in the world. Right. So your mistake that you get away with locally costs you huge. And I mean, it's a different level of focus. The game itself doesn't change. Disc golf is still disc golf, but the way you approach it has to be different. And so while I had some notches on my belt on the PDGA site, I was as green as a rookie could be on tour. And you don't think that until you're there. You have to go out and get kicked around to see it. Right. So it's very difficult to say everything I learned, but experiencing the levels to the game from the courses and players. And as people, they're awesome. I mean, that's something I learned, is that these guys that I've watched on YouTube are just cool human beings. People probably put them on a pedestal. I call them friends now. Right. But they're on a whole nother level. Right. And I can physically do
the majority of the things they can do, just not as consistent yet. And that's the mental thing to get over, is having the confidence that, yes, I can do this and I can do it as well as them, as consistent as them. Then you go do it.
That's a big lesson for you, because I remember I was talking to you at Dynamic Discs Open, and that was something that you were, I forget if it was round 1 or 2. I think it was after round 2.
It's probably after I missed the cut.
I think it was after round 2, because it was at, did you guys go Jones?
Oh yeah, it was
Country Club?
After Gold.
Yeah. I remember it was after round 2 where you were struggling with that of like, I can throw these shots, but where you made a mistake on whatever hole, and then just these people like Paul, Ricky, Eagle, Calvin, whatever, come in and their drive is now 70 feet past. It's like, that's a stroke.
Well, and the whole first half of my season was pretty forgettable, and I was focused on everything but myself. You have to be selfish on the course. I'm worried about me. I'm not worried about you.
Right.
I'm here to get paid.
Right.
I don't care where you finish. Well, I'll watch your shot because it's my duty as a card mate, but I don't care what you're throwing. And the whole first half of my season, I was worried about everybody but myself and checking scores and all that. Then when I get to the preserve, round 1, I shoot 10 under and I'm in 6th place overall. And like, I was on autopilot.
Yeah.
I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. And that's when I got my USDGC spot, and it kind of clicked. And that was my 2nd week on tour, but you don't get it until you're there. You have to step out and get kicked around and fail. And I didn't really fail early in my career, because Monkey Island Open was my 2nd pro tournament in front of the cameras, small gallery following. I won it, got picked up by DD shortly after, and kind of just kept rolling locally. But that's the jump in levels I'm talking about. You get out there with the best in the world, it's way different.
Yeah. That's a really cool thing about the golf and golf variants in general, is that, it's one of the only sports where whatever else is happening doesn't matter. And I think Chris is a really good example of this, because we were talking yesterday where you were saying that your max distance, like flat ground, hammer something on an Anheuser, let it turn, carry, fly, was 500, 475, 500.
Right.
And there's, I don't know, 5 to 10 guys out there
who can throw 500-foot spike lasers.
They can do that on just power hyzers. Right. And that doesn't mean that you're not still one of the elite disc golfers in the world. But because, like, I think, was it the Pro Tour that put it out?
Yeah, the OB.
Yeah,
right.
That you threw OB the least amount of times of anyone on tour.
I have to if I want to compete.
Right, but that's
the point.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is like, that this is your game, so this is what I'm going to do. You don't get on a card with Double G and see him smash something 700 feet and think, well, I have to throw a 700-foot shot or I'm losing strokes. Like, no, I can throw 400 feet, make my putt, and now he's got an 80-footer. He's going to try and run that. Oh, he missed it. Now he's 45 feet, missed that. Now I made up a stroke on him.
Yeah, it's like the margin of error is a little smaller for me, but if I can keep it in bounds, I mean, of course, there's certain courses that aren't going to suit my abilities and are going to be hard to compete with somebody like Eagle.
Sure.
But overall, if I can play consistent and like do what I can do, like I can have good finishes. But in 2018, like I didn't really know that much. Like I knew my game, but I had to like learn how to stay in that and like remind myself of that. And now it's like, I know this is who I am. I'm established. This is how I play, and getting more experience on courses over the years is great too.
So then do you have any advice for Logan this time? Well, not this time next year, but come next time that Logan heads in the RV, or however it is that you're going to do your 3-month tour next year, heads out on the road, and, cause you have, 3 years on the road full time? 18, 19, 20, 21, 4. 4. Okay. So you have more years than Logan has months on the road. Do you have any advice for him?
Yeah. I mean,
throw less.
It sounds like he kind of knows what he needs to do, and like knows that he was kind of worried about what other people were doing. And it's easy to do that, especially when you see them on YouTube and then you like are actually playing with them. You're like, kind of like, wow, dude, this freaking dude is really good. I gotta be good too. And so you can get out of your game a little bit, because when, Logan probably knows when he's playing a B tier, like he's the guy to beat. And so even if he does make a mistake, it's not as bad as the other dude on his card who just threw out of bounds 3 times.
Right.
But on the Pro Tour, like people just don't do that. And so I think, he does have it have a good game plan and like already being in a good spot mentally and playing his game. It sounds like he learned a lot this year, which is great. But I think, spending time with me and Eric Oakley and other players, like, and having that and being able to talk to him and explain that, like I feel like he learned a lot. And it's good hanging out with people who've done it for years and years. It's nice.
Yeah. I feel like the more you can learn from people, the faster. It just seems like a net positive.
Right.
Of like, try things, see what works for you. If this is what works for Chris, great. If this is what works for Macbeth, great. But if this is what works for me, then I'm going to do X and they're going to do Y or whatever it is.
There's some players and even players that I've toured with, like, that don't have the ability to be a top 20 player. Like, they don't have the physical ability to throw far enough or be consistent enough. But Logan does. And so that's where it comes in, just like gaining experience and mental toughness.
That was the most frustrating part. It's like, I can throw these shots. I have thrown them in practice, but you can't fast track experience. There's no way around it.
You just can't. And that's in that, like my girlfriend, Hannah, she's going to be touring for the first time and she can throw. She has that like athletic ability, to throw far, but it's like, she's going to need experience. And so that's something you really can't teach people. You can tell them and you can help them deal with that and tell them why things are the way that they are. But something you just kind of got to experience yourself.
I wonder, like, the name that comes to mind for me, like thinking about the Patrick Mahomes, who was good in college, but wasn't like, he's going to be the next best thing. But then in his second year out of the NFL or in the NFL, the first year he's the starter, he's insane. And they're winning all these games and he's throwing these crazy passes. And the name that comes to mind for me in terms of like who's done that in the disc golf world is probably Kyle Klein. Of like, this time last year, it's not like he was a household name. Now, if you talk to somebody that watches Jomez, follows, watches Disc Golf Network, whatever, they're like, oh yeah, Kyle's a stud. I wonder, like, what is it that's, is it just almost the inexperience outweighing the experience in that regard of like just being so young and being so good at the game that it's just like, I don't even know what to be scared of. So I'm not scared or I'm not worried or pressure or anything like that. Like I don't know. From a very outsider's perspective, it just doesn't make sense because there are people like Logan who can throw all of the shots, but then the lack of experience hurts and it shows itself. But then there's also people like Kyle who can just as well as Logan throw all those shots, but doesn't have the experience and is just like, oh, cool, I'm going to come in third, second, whatever.
I think that's an interesting question. And I think that you could be onto something, Kyle being young and not, when I've been going to Junior Worlds in Emporia the last couple of years and playing with younger and younger players, Cole Redolin, Gannon Burr. And something that I notice with them is like they go for everything pretty much. Yeah. And they putt super hard. Like there's not much fear. And so like having that early and that ability that they have, like Kyle Klein is probably a top 10 distance player too. Gannon the same. Like they are better than most touring players with how they throw the disc, but having that like go for everything ability, because that's almost what you need to win a pro tour event. You can't be like super duper safe. And so with Kyle, like he has his ability in throwing a disc is far and above most other touring players, but then just being young and, not knowing. So you may see him, I won't say you're going to see him struggle, but now that he knows what it takes, he might have that and be like, man, this was really hard last time. Like it, that more experience may hurt him. You never know. Right.
Or like now, after a year of doing it, now people are expecting me to do it. Or last year was just kind of like, oh, he's that young kid who throws really far. Right. And he's just kind of on a heater. And that's why he got, I think it was D-Glow. He almost won. And then
Idlewild, I think.
He won something.
Idlewild against Marweed.
That's right.
Second at USDGC, a heater at Ledgestone before it got canceled.
That's right. I forgot about that.
There's multiple.
And so he played really well, and he has been, and so he's like riding a high,
Mhm.
you know. And sometimes in golf, like, and in sports in general, like, it's not always going to be that way. But
Yeah.
you know, some players are just better than others, and
That's also true.
Yeah, and Kyle is one of those young players who is really good, and yeah, maybe that inexperience. He doesn't really have to think about all the things that could go wrong. He's just thinking about what could go right. And in golf, you need that a lot.
That's almost the mindset to have of like not being in those positions where there's a pro tour on the line and you miss a 25 footer, you lose, not having that feeling to know what it feels like to be worried about it or to be scared of that or whatever. So that thought doesn't even enter your mind. So all it is like, okay, it's a 25 footer. If I make it, I win. If I don't, then second would still be my best pro tour finish.
Yeah. I wonder if like being, I guess saying like, I'm not saying Kyle is unintelligent or something like that.
No.
But I'm saying like, what if, you know, they say ignorance.
You're just saying he was lucky.
No, I'm saying like ignorance is bliss, right?
So he's ignorant.
I don't know, maybe. I'm saying like ignorance is bliss in general. So like somebody who is not, they don't think about all those things. They're not a head case. I mean, that's golf. You see those people who like can't get outside of their own head, and they tend to struggle unless like things are going well. And so like maybe just being able to turn that off is the secret, the key.
It definitely seems like a key, being able to turn your brain off, especially like you hear people talk about it all the time when, you know, what do you think about when you're on the tee pad? Nothing. I think about my release point or what I'm aiming at, and that's it. Or when you're putting, what do you think about? Like, well, I look at my chain link and then I think about putting the disc there, and that's it. It definitely seems to be a thing where that's kind of the benefit of it being an individual sport, where when you're playing, if you're Tom Brady and you're a quarterback, you've got to read the safety and make sure the defensive end isn't getting through the line, or are they blitzing, or is it man coverage or zone, or who's going here, and is the receiver going to run a hook, or are they going to go deeper? Like all these things have to go through your head at instant speed. Whereas with golf and disc golf specifically, all that stuff is gone. It's literally just, this is the hole, complete it in the least amount of strokes as possible. And it's just on you to, I mean, you know your discs, you know what shots you can throw, can't throw, and all that stuff is kind of decided for you.
And that's another thing, like Tom Brady, if they lose, it's not solely on him.
Right.
But in golf, like if things are going wrong, it's totally your fault. Like you can't blame your teammates. You can't blame anybody else. People try to. That guy walking the dog.
That's a good shot, dude.
Yeah,
I got screwed. That's a perfect shot.
Right.
There's just
like,
a tree there,
it
but it's
happens
perfect.
all the time. And so golf is, you have to be mentally strong, because at the end of the day, like it's whatever happens, it's you. It's your fault.
Right.
It's your fault if you did well. It's your fault if you did bad. You know,
unless you get a spit out, dude. What the heck? That's a good putt.
man.
Spit, man. These baskets who makes these things are terrible. Okay. We'll change topics for a little bit here briefly.
Lame.
We've got questions from the squad. We have disc golf questions and we have non-disc golf questions. If anyone out there listening is not a part of the squad, you two are more than welcome to join as well, because I've noticed that you haven't. So we'll talk about that off the air. You can join it by...
What are you talking about?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Logan, these questions are all going to be for you from now on. You can join the squad at squad.dynamicdiscs.com, and I'll send you challenges. You get points, and then once you get those points, you get free stuff. It's pretty sick. Logan, since Chris is now off the show, disc golf question or non-disc golf question?
Non.
Okay. Non-disc golf question. Pick a number 1 through 7.
5.
This one comes to us. Okay. I ordered these wrong. We'll do a disc golf question.
Danny don't know how to count.
Right. Okay. They're bullet points. So I just was counting in the disc golf section, not the non-disc golf section. You said 5?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you said 4.
Chris, I thought you were off the show. Remember? Okay. This one comes to us from Ben. Ben wants to know, what are your favorite Christmas or holiday movies? I can't say I've heard of that one.
I really don't watch many movies.
Jeez,
I just don't.
Dude,
I can't sit still long enough. I'm a mover. I got to move.
That's why they're called move-ease.
I mean, Home Alone. You can't. That can't be a wrong answer to say.
Home Alone's a good one.
If
That's a
that's
good
on
pick.
TV, I'm gonna watch it.
Very safe bet.
Yeah, that's probably about the only. I mean, Elf, but
There you go.
I mean,
Those are my
yeah.
answers.
I wouldn't say A Christmas Story though. I feel like I was forced to sit through it so much as a kid
Is that the one where you'll shoot your eye out?
Yeah.
Solid pass. on
So
that
I'll say
one.
those. That's probably textbook answer though.
Those were the two that came to mind for me, but I feel like those are probably the two that would come to mind for most
Yeah.
people. But
Even late at night, I can't sit still long enough to watch a movie. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask that too.
definitely, I guess we have to ask Chris now.
I'm more of a scooter Christmas light tour kind of guy.
This is true. We've
Yeah.
seen this. Your rating system's very flawed. That's
Yeah.
another topic for
That's
another
an
day.
opinion.
But if people want, Logan is documenting different Christmas lights around Wichita on his Instagram story. I think your Instagram is just Logan Harpool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could follow him. Let him know how terrible his ratings are. Chris,
Follow him on a scooter.
you could also follow him on a scooter. That would be hilarious. Just a train of scooters cruising through Wichita. Chris, favorite Christmas or holiday movies?
I would say A Christmas Story is up there.
Dude, we just said that wasn't a top one.
Wasn't a top one?
Yeah. He just said he wouldn't say
just
that. And I said, yeah, missed
overplayed.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation
is number one.
Such a good one. I watched that for the first time last year. I'd
What is
heard of it
wrong with
before,
you?
but I had never like seen it. It was always like, oh, we're gonna watch a Christmas movie. All right, let's watch Elf. That one's funny. I like that.
Home Alone 1 and 2 are good. 3 and 4 can leave.
They just don't exist. By the way, I went to the Home Alone house like just over a month ago.
In Chicago?
Mhm.
Nice.
It's pretty sick. It's apparently an Airbnb where you can rent it out.
Is it as big
It's
as it
freaking
looks?
huge,
It's
dude.
massive.
Okay.
And it's just in the middle of like a random neighborhood.
I figured it'd be something you show up and you're like, that's it.
What did Kevin McAllister's dad do to afford that house?
Right.
Afford taking 15 people to France or wherever they
Mhm.
went.
And then New York
At first
the next year.
class.
Well, 14 people. Spoiler alert. Only 14 people got on the plane.
Yeah, but like that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, what did he do?
He was an actor. Like he was in movies. They paid him to be in movies.
I also like How the Grinch Stole Christmas and
Jim Carrey or the cartoon?
Jim Carrey.
Okay.
And a Charlie Brown Christmas.
Jim Carrey or the cartoon?
Charlie Brown?
Yeah.
Is there a Jim Carrey Charlie Brown?
No, the Grinch.
No,
There's a Jim Carrey Charlie Brown.
not yet.
Oh,
There might be.
Oh.
This will be like you know how there's the thing about like the Simpsons know everything and there's always like a Simpsons episode for something. If there's ever a Jim Carrey Charlie Brown, boom, mark
That'd be
it.
sick.
December 21st,
Yeah, I like-
2021.
I like all those. I don't know. I like Christmas movies. I like Halloween movies.
Well, they said a holiday, so do you have a favorite Halloween movie? Or just like the Halloween series, do you mean?
I mean, no, not the Halloween series. I like horror movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
Those are a lot of fun. A Nightmare Before Christmas is cool. And that's like a Halloween / Christmas. And then I put Harry Potter movies like in the Halloween, Christmas echelon, I guess, just
Like
because
that tier of quality, or
Well,
you're saying that
no.
Harry Potter is a Christmas movie?
Yeah. Halloween, I watch them in the fall and the winter. So I lump them in. But that's a me thing.
That's not what people mean when they say what's a Christmas movie.
I mean, at most Harry Potter movies, they have like Christmas trees and stuff. Like, and it's during Christmas time.
Is this going to be like a new Die Hard thing where like people say Die Hard's a
good one,
Christmas
too.
movie?
I just watched that and Hannah watched that for the first time last week.
Okay. You can convince me on
And
Die Hard, but I
Hans
don't.
Gruber it's Professor Snape. So it ties in
Connections,
Christmas.
man.
Yeah.
Connections.
See?
All right. Let's get a disc golf question. This one is very open ended. This one comes to us from Andy. Chris, we'll start with you. And Andy wants to know, what is your favorite part about disc golf?
My favorite part about disc golf.
Yep.
Probably, man. Yeah, it is a very open-ended question. I think just giving me a way to express myself with other people within the disc golf community and fans, but also I get to throw discs the way I want to, and I get to tailor my game the way I want to. So it's like a form of art expression, and it's me, and my logos and branding and stuff. I get a heavy, say in what those are. And yeah, that's what I enjoy about it.
What about you, Logan?
Most people wouldn't guess this about me, but I was raised very backwoods, barefoot, redneck.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. So
I would have guessed that.
I love
Turn left.
You've got that kind of a face.
Yeah. The Harpool house shut down 3 times a year, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Daytona. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So is that your favorite holiday movie is just Daytona?
Well, the Daytona 500 is a holiday in our house. So, but I love being outside in the woods, creeks, rivers, and disc golf gives me a reason to travel and go see more places like that. So just being outside in what are typically very quiet, tranquil places is really nice.
I think that's my answer too, of like, I mean, almost like a hybrid of you both, of like, I really like going and playing with other people and having fun and laughing and whatever. But then like, there's something that's just so peaceful about like being able to go to a course by yourself. You're the only one there. And it's cliche, but like nothing else matters. Right. Like if you get an email and you're on hole 2, don't know about it. Doesn't matter. The world's not going to fall apart because I didn't check Facebook or whatever. It just is like everything else is just kind of gone, and you just get to be yourself and just throw frisbees in the park.
Yeah. You can like go play if you want the entire time. You can like take a book and go read down by the creek if you want. You can fish. Like you can kind of do, like if you enjoy being outside, it's a great sport to get into.
Right. Let's jump back into the kind of high level tour play. Again, this was something that we briefly touched on in episode 9, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on, it seems like there's a lot of people, neither of you would fit this, but there's a lot of people that are switching sponsors this year. We just had Andrew Marweed announce that he's going to DGA. You're talking about Cole Radalin is with Infinite, I believe. We have, as far as I'm aware, 4 more players to announce that will be joining the team. There's been a lot of moves at the highest levels just the tour scene. There's a lot of people that are changing sponsors. Do we think that's kind of the new norm? Do we think that every off season is just going to be silly season and there's going to be people switching sponsors and new companies popping up and this and that? Or do we think that it's maybe just kind of because the sport is growing so much that while we're going through this, I don't know if you want to call it like a post-COVID or result of all the new players from COVID boom, that maybe it's just a thing right now and then in a couple of years it'll kind of settle back down?
I think we will see this and we will continue to see it with players moving. 5, 6, 7 years ago, it wasn't happening as much. It happened a little bit, but more and more every season it's happening like this. And I feel like sponsors see it as a way to make a splash in the scene. And there's just more players. There's more money that's involved. And, so with more players, there's going to be more players that feel like they can get more elsewhere. So you're going to have other companies like trying to get them. I think it's just going to continue.
I think it's recognized more that like, oh my gosh, there are a ton of people moving because disc golf is still relatively small. Like if you follow the trades in NBA, MLB, or any other big sport, there's a bunch and people that are free agents or designated for assignment. The Ultiworld tracker I just looked at has 15 people on it right now. 15's not a lot, but in our world of disc golf, oh my gosh, there's 15 people from on tour, because how many people are recognizable on tour full time?
I don't know, 35, maybe 30, 40.
Yeah, 35, 40. So to have 15 of them seems like a lot when really 15 people may not be that much. It's just in our little realm of disc golf, it seems like a whole bunch.
Right.
And it is a good number of people moving. But
and I feel like at least at like the highest level, like we've seen Ricky play for a couple of different teams, but like when Paul went from Innova to Discraft, it was like earth shattering. Eagle's been with Discmania for a long time. Calvin's been with Innova forever. So seeing like, if it seems like once Paul moved to Discraft, it kind of figuratively opened the door to kind of almost make it acceptable is not the right word, but like so that those other elite level players aren't scared to move. Like we just announced Matt Oram for Westside, and I think he's the 5th highest rated player in the world. And we just saw James Conrad last year moved. Paige Pierce has moved a bunch of times. We've seen the elite top level players in their field. It kind of used to be like, well, you're signed with Innovus, you're with Innova forever, or you're signed with whatever, you just play for them forever. But now it's almost, I don't know, it's not taboo. Is that the right word for it?
Yeah, I don't think it's taboo, and there will be more players changing because I think companies are seeing the value in that, because a big thing of what has driven the disc golf boom is the Disc Golf Pro Tour, YouTube, people seeing these top players every week. And so they become fans. It draws them in. They spend money on disc golf. And so I think sponsors realize that. And so they go after different top players. And so you're going to see more of them move, because top players in the past, Ken Climo, he's just sitting pretty with Innova. Like, why would he ever want to leave?
Right.
Barry Schultz, the same idea. But if a company of Discraft came to Barry and was like, hey, we're going to pay you $1 million to play next year, he'd be like, okay,
take it and run.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
And so, but when other companies weren't willing to do that back then, like, why would they want to leave?
Yeah, that's true. On a similar topic of maybe not new players, we do have a new disc that is sitting in front of us. We can't really talk too much about it, but we can kind of talk a little bit about it. There are a handful of them that have shown up to the warehouse. We told people that they were showing up soon.
So it fits in your hand. So a handful.
It's round.
Okay.
It is made of plastic.
Nice.
Chris, you have thrown this round piece of plastic, have you?
I have.
Did you like the way that this round piece of plastic flew?
I did very much. Okay. I did. I've been looking forward to a disc like this for a couple of years now. And I've been pushing for it for over a year. So I'm glad with how it turned out.
Logan, you're kind of holding it, looking at it, feeling it. You have not thrown it yet. Spoiler alert. We'll go throw it after this, and then I'll film it, and we're going to make a video out of it so that people that hear this, we will have some throw footage of it out at a to-be-determined date.
Dude, what are you doing to that disc?
Yeah, I think I know why you struggled at the beginning of last season, because that's not how you're supposed to hold that.
No, this is, without saying too much, this feels like exactly what we had talked about, Chris and I, and multiple players on the team wanting something like this. So very comfortable. So then I guess think I can tell you what it's going to do just by holding it.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Probably go far, or not far, but it'll
potentially
go.
If you throw it hard,
it'll go out. It'll do things, and then it'll land on the ground.
I bet.
Right where I tell it to.
I bet that if you threw it, and then if you threw it harder, when you threw it harder, it would go farther.
I concur.
That's my hunch.
Maybe. Smooth as far.
Look, I'm not no scientist or nothing.
That's Danny Lindahl. He's a scientist.
And he's not even here. So
so science is not in here right now.
No one can prove me wrong.
I don't know what we're doing.
Should we get a couple more squad questions in before we get out of here?
Yep.
Sure.
Chris, disc golf or non-disc golf question? Non-disc golf question. Pick a number, 1 or 2.
2.
This comes to us from Joe. Joe says, if your style of play was compared to a flavor of potato chip, what flavor would it be and why? Logan, if you have an answer first, you can answer that.
I definitely, the wavy original Lays. You know what I'm talking about?
Like,
those
because your plays like up and down,
like zigzag. No,
like Ruffles.
no, because they're original. Like, they don't change the flavor. They're original, but it's got a little flair to it. I'm not an outlier in any one category, but I take pride in not really sucking at any one thing. Like I don't really have one massive weakness. And so my game is smooth and consistent and not flashy, but every once in a while I can do something wild. That's the
mighty
weightiness.
Impressive answer for just having this thrown to you on the spot. Is this something you've pondered before? Or like, let's relate my game to every food.
He thought about this last night.
I was going to say, yeah, you had an hour and a bit drive up here. This went in your brain.
Yeah. And we randomly picked this question.
Right.
Yeah.
I think mine, I think mine would be like Cheetos. Does that count as a potato chip?
Yeah.
Because like Cheetos are good, right? They're not like top tier, but they're good if you eat them. But have you ever opened a bag of Cheetos and smelled?
So I should smell you?
You smell like Cheetos?
Chris, please, I'm not done. If you could just answer the question.
Fremunda cheese? What?
No, okay, so if you smell Cheetos, they smell terrible. And that's kind of my putting game. It's pretty bad. The rest of my game's all right. And Cheetos are all right.
You should get the Cheeto dust off your fingers, bro.
I don't know. I think the little bit of sticky kind of helps provide some grip. I think you guys are missing out on not having Cheeto dust discs.
For me, it's hard because I'm like, I can think about the chips that I like because I like chips a lot.
Okay.
And the different types. Like I like salt and vinegar chips. I like sea salt pita chips.
Do you want me to answer this for you?
Yes.
Chris's game is like Cool Ranch Doritos, right? Everybody likes Cool Ranch Doritos. Chris is a cool guy. And whenever like a chip question, like, oh, what kind of chips do you want? Just say Cool Ranch Doritos because it's a super safe answer.
And everybody always has Cool Ranch
Everybody's
Doritos.
got them. That's why everybody buys them. It's because it's just everybody likes these.
Right.
Chris is the safest player on tour.
Weird, man.
Okay, then you could be like those. Doesn't Doritos do like a 50-50 bag
like
of like
Takis?
Do they have a Cool Ranch flavor?
I don't know. They're just all hot, spicy, dude. Make you cry.
That's not your game at all.
I'm hot and spicy, baby.
That's gonna booger your fingers up worse than Cheetos. Though.
I do like what is it? It's like the cheese. They have Cheetos in them, but there's like other things. It's like a Chex Mix munchies. You know what I'm talking about?
Okay.
It's got like pretzels in there and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like a grab bag, man. You don't know what you're gonna get.
I was thinking you were going to say like, because I could throw forehands, I can throw backhands.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, I could do this or that. Nah, just never know what you're going to get.
I mean,
has anybody ever said that before about like relating food to life? You never know what you're going to get. Is that like a thing?
I don't think so. Who? Hom Tanks?
I think so. That sounds like his name. Let's do a more disc golf related question now. Let's just move away from that whole thing.
But you say you're unique because you're lefty. Aren't those the only triangular chips?
Doritos?
No, there's like regular tortilla chips that are triangles.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Okay.
I mean, aren't
We
Doritos
haven't even talked
technically
about tortilla chips yet.
aren't Doritos technically tortilla chips? Isn't that what
Yeah.
it says like on the
I think it's like a corn tortilla chip, but it just has that flavor.
little dust?
A little dust.
A little special
dusty
something.
flavor. A little Clemonade on there.
Hey, so Mark has a question for us.
Mark, what do you got?
Why do you throw the disc you throw? Is it color, feel, stability, design? What is it?
That's for me?
It's for both of you.
Oh.
I'll answer too, but it was more specifically not for me.
I
Sorry,
generally, I do like certain types of discs, like looking. I like rainbow stamps and white discs. Milky white discs, like hybrid. I think because I had like good hybrid discs back in the day that flew really well. So I tended to like gravitate towards those. I like brighter colored discs. I don't really throw like mini, like dark discs because the last thing you want is to lose something while you're playing. And I don't like super stiff discs. I tend to like a little gummier, not crazy.
Even on your putters?
No, putters are stiff as a board.
Give you a rock.
Yes. So when it's like 20 degrees outside, they're like a brick and almost unputtable, but I do it to myself. But yeah, and you just want to go like by feel. If it feels good in your hand and if it looks good. Yeah.
What about you, Logan?
Feel and flight.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can pick out a cool looking disc and avoid dark green and brown, I would prefer that. But if it feels good and I'm confident with it and it flies the way I want it to, that's all I need. And I try not to get attached to discs. Like, because I don't ever want to have to be like, dude, I have to go in and swim and get that one. Like,
right. Or if something gets too beat up or whatever.
Then you're like, I don't want to get rid of this. I have to carry it because I'm like synonymous with this one disc. Like, I never want to be like that. So I try to, like, once it doesn't fly the way I want it to, it's done. I'll hand it to someone in the gallery or give it away to somebody and I'm done with it and on to the next. So
you both mentioned feel and flight being two of the main things. How would you guys rank those things? If something feels good but doesn't fly well, or if something flies well but feels terrible, like what would be more of a deal breaker? What's kind of number one? What's number two?
I could tolerate something that doesn't feel good. I can't tolerate something that's unpredictable or that I don't know what it's going to do. So as long as the flight is what I want, that's most important.
100% agree.
Really?
Yeah. You like, I don't care if something feels good in my hand. If it flies like doo-doo, I'm not going to throw it. I mean, whenever I first switched to throwing trilogy stuff, I tested the fuse and
I'm glad that you pointed out that other companies' discs feel like doo-doo, and then all of ours are like, oh, look, it's all feel great, fly great. Yeah.
You'll get there. I was trying out the fuse and the Tersus like next to each other, and the Tersus felt better in my hand, but the way that I was throwing, like the fuse just kept being what I wanted and what was good. So I went with the fuse, and like over time it became more comfortable. And I'm like, yeah, this is it. You want good flight, predictable flight. You can't have something that's finicky.
Okay. So then question for both of you. This one comes to us from Anthony.
Dude, you can't be writing your own questions, man.
It's not written down. Anthony wants to know, if something flies good but doesn't feel good, how do you get over that?
You just get more reps with it and you get used to it. You know, like when you're playing in a tournament, and the more good shots you throw with the disc, the more trust you're going to have, the more you're going to like throwing that disc, the more that you're going to see shot shapes that match that. So you can throw that again and again. When I'm playing well, I'm throwing like the same, like 3 or 4 discs over and over again on a course because I'm throwing it well. It's consistent. I know exactly what it's going to do. And so, yeah, it's just reps with that disc. You know, I was thinking yesterday, actually about how people, like, I've been like this for the last 10 years. Like I get this and I want them really overstable because I know I'm going to beat them in, because I play every day. I practice every day, but I know that there's a lot of people who don't do that. And so they want to buy this. It might be, you know, straighter or kind of broken in. And that was kind of an epiphany. I was like, whoa, I guess so. I guess there are people who only play on the weekend, like 1 round a week or something like that. And so they're not going to beat in a disc as much as I beat it in. It takes me a month. It's going to take them a year or more.
Right. And depending on where you are too, like here in Emporia, it takes a lot longer to beat up something than, like you were talking about Charlotte earlier, where there's every hole is a tunnel shot. Yeah. Then there's way more stuff to beat your discs up. Interesting. I tend to just complain.
Well,
my finger got stuck, or I slipped out, or
sinks too deep, man.
I don't throw bad shots. It just, you get bad breaks or.
True.
I'll draw the line if the feel of the disc is like ripping my hands, though. Like I've had discs that hurt when I release them.
Sure.
Even if it's flying the way I want, that's not sustainable.
Right. So. You can't injure yourself on purpose almost. Right. We've got one final question coming to us from Brent. And Brent wants to know, if you had to replace your favorite DD distance driver, mid-range, and putter with one other Trilogy Series disc, so basically something from Latitude or Westside, what would it be and why? So we'll do driver first. What is everyone's favorite driver? Mine is the Raider.
I'll go Raider.
Chris?
Defender.
Okay. So then, before I answer, I want to hear Logan's answer. But if you guys, do you know what you would replace it with from either Latitude or Westside? Good answers, both of you.
Yeah, I guess I would probably replace it with the Raider.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's not a Latitude or West Side mold, sorry.
Oh.
I'd say
I think that would still count. I guess he doesn't say it has to be. It just says a different. Yeah, okay. That works. Chris,
Probably Ballista Pro.
I apologize. You can use Raider.
Ballista Pro.
It's within the rules.
They're all like pretty interchangeable.
They're close, yeah.
say Giant or Cutlass.
Really?
Yeah. I think those are pretty close.
Cutlass is
The older Giants.
one that I would have thought of, but I probably would have gone Rive. The Rive is a little more overstable than a Raider, but I feel like you can beat him in and it's going to go crazy far and fly like a Raider.
That's weird because like the Rive was definitely way flippier than my Defenders, I thought. But the Raiders are
Really?
too. Yeah.
I think
I throw big boy stuff.
strong. I feel like the Defender definitely has less turn than a Raider,
Well, you
and the
throw-
Rive also does.
I throw like domey meat hook Defenders.
You throw war
Yeah.
horses too, don't
for
you?
the
Yeah. Those are knuckle draggers.
have
in
you
a good way.
have you thrown those Domi Raiders?
Not really. Like when I tried Raiders, I had Ballista Pro, Raider, and Defenders all in the bag at one point in
Oh, wow.
2018. But then I threw Ballista Pros and Raiders for kind of backhands. They weren't stable enough for forehands. But I think if I put more work and found different ones now, I'm sure they would be serviceable. But like I've been doing it for so long with Defenders, it's like,
Sure.
why would I switch?
Yeah. Okay. Favorite mid ranges? We'll start with Logan. What's your favorite mid range? He's thinking. We'll start with Chris. What's your favorite mid range?
Why do I?
I only carry 4.
I guess it has to be a verdict, right?
It's probably the smart
Mine's-
answer.
Probably the same flight, but the Fusion X EMAC.
Dude.
Okay.
Okay. So I would just do a Fusion X EMAC and he would do a verdict.
And then just
Boom.
flip flop.
there you go.
Done.
No, for the probably a Bard or something. I don't know. Bard might not come out as clean for forehands.
Yeah, it's definitely deeper than a verdict.
What are overstable
The Pine.
mid?
Pine
Yeah, but they're
is the
kind of like
trust in
domey.
How stable is the
I
trust?
use a truss. It's dead straight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mine was like beefy.
Do we really have to go over this again, Anthony?
Relative to me and relative
They
to
are,
how an
like,
EMAC Truth flies.
They are nice at the beginning. They are pretty beefy. You gotta like hit them hard, but when you break them in, like it's just dead straight. It's kind of like however you throw it. A little bit of Annie, it holds it. Heiser holds it.
Okay. My favorite mid would be the EMAC Truth, and I could switch it out for a Gatekeeper
Yeah,
because that's what I used to throw
I did that
before.
at one point.
And they're similar. The Gatekeeper I feel like is just a little bit shorter. If the EMAC goes 320
slower.
feet, the Gatekeeper's like 305.
Right.
Oh.
The EMAC's like almost a driver, like a slow driver. Like it goes far,
Yeah.
and like so you need to throw it pretty hard to get it to go straight. I feel like. At least like I was throwing like Sparkle EMACs, Lucid X ones. And I threw the Truth for like years and years. And so like the truss is like a little bit slower and a little bit more controllable for me.
Logan, did you say what you would replace yours with?
Pine.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
I threw the Pine for a long time.
Yeah, you did.
Pine's nice,
Mhm.
overstable.
And then putters. Chris, I'm guessing you're going to say Judge.
That's what I putt with. Yeah.
Warden.
I would say Warden. If it has to specifically be a DD disc, I would say Warden. Do you guys know what you'd replace yours with?
Maybe a Crown. It's like similar.
Yeah.
I think.
It's still got that big bead. I think
Yeah,
it's a
I would
little
want a big.
deeper, maybe.
Maybe so. The dagger would be too deep.
Yeah.
Deep dish. What
Way
other
deeper.
beaded putters do we have?
There's, let's see, Latitude has the Gauntlet, but that's pretty similar to a Crown. The Maiden has a bead, and it feels kind of like a
flippy, isn't
Judge,
it?
but it's not flippy. It's just straight. So it doesn't have the same stability as a Judge. But I guess inside the circle, you probably wouldn't
There's just
notice
no
much
replacing the Judge,
difference.
man. Let's be real.
There's only upgrades. You're absolutely right. Logan,
Let's
what would
be
you do?
real.
I putted with Macanas at one time,
Oh, yeah, that's got a bead.
Yep. It does.
but I don't know why I putted with them. So I would go back to them because I feel like it'd be familiar, but are they even similar to a Warden?
I
haven't
think
used
they're
them.
like
Similar
They're like
flight.
a little
Pretty
over, or they're kind of straightish.
It's kind of straight, a little bit of fade, but the feel is very different.
The way I putt, I don't really see a difference in
Like a
putters
spin putter.
until I'm out quite a ways.
Yeah.
So, but I go Makana just because it's familiar.
Putting is like all about feel. If you take 95% of putters and you putt inside of 30 feet, like they're all going to fly fairly similar.
Right.
It's all about that feel.
Yeah. You can take a Warden and a Harp, kind of the ends of the spectrum, straight, overstable, and if you're 25 feet away,
I don't know about
you will notice difference.
Yes.
But it's not like if you were to throw the exact same putt, you're going to make it with a Warden and hit the lock with a Harp.
Right.
Like you could still make the same putt.
There's not like a huge until you get like further back where the flight is actually different, but it's all about that feel.
Yeah, exactly. But inside the circle, whatever feels good, chuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it goes in.
Mm.
Yeah.
You don't have to hope, you got to practice.
I try not to switch for headwinds, but I've caught myself doing it some on
Switching-
longer headwind putts.
Switch
putters.
putter?
Yeah.
Oh.
What do you switch
Like
to?
severe headwinds. I'll go with a Cenis just because I know it's not going to flip. Because I am pretty wristy with my putt, and it has a tendency to come out on a little bit of Anheuser every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I can get away with that in a headwind if it's something overstable. The
Sure.
Warden will just continue on that path.
Right.
So it's more masking what could potentially just an error on my part. But
I tend to just blame the disc in that situation. It's the wind, man. It wasn't windy for you guys.
Yeah.
It wasn't windy for you guys. It's always windy for me.
Why did that lift? Well, because it's a headwind.
Yeah, dude.
It's ripping right at you.
Why? But why though?
Why?
All right. That's all the time we have this week for episode 10. We were supposed to do a whole big thing at the beginning. Danny was going to have these wind chimes and it was going to be a whole cool thing.
You serious?
Danny's not here. Danny's off visiting family. Eric isn't here. Eric's off visiting family. I don't know if you guys are going to be off visiting your families. I don't know if people listening to this are going to be visiting their families, but I hope
they're going to
everybody...
be listening to this on the way to their families.
That's true. If you are, I hope you all have a good holiday season. If you're not on your way to visit family and you're still just listening to this, I hope you also have a good holiday season. I hope you two have a good holiday season. I hope I have a good holiday season. We potentially might be doing an episode next week. It is up in the air. If we don't do one before the new year, Happy New Year's, everyone. We'll see you in 2020. And yeah, 10 episodes. Season 1. It's a wrap.
Season 1?
I hit the table. I know. I told you guys not to hit the table, and then I hit the table. It's at the end. Dude, we got to go out end the year with a bang.
Nice.
Logan. Okay, thanks, everybody. Leave your reviews. Leave your comments, questions, concerns. Join the squad. Join our Facebook group. Do all that good stuff. Have a wonderful end of your year.